Okay, we are on.
All right. Well, welcome to the regular Finance Committee meeting for July. It's Tuesday, July 21st. I'm Mark Trenary, joined by fellow council members Eric Warden, John Morrissey, Director Noah Crocker, Director Dennis Ryan. I can't see anybody else. Is there anybody else joining us at this point?
Nope, there's nobody in the waiting room, so I think it's just us until the mayor joins us.
All right. Well, let's get rocking and rolling. We've got a published agenda tonight. Our first discussion item is sales tax and REIT revenues. Go ahead, Mr. Crocker.
Okay, I'll pull it up, and I see that the mayor just popped in and joined us, so we have everybody now. So we'll start with the sales tax. Good to report, June was actually positive. So up 3% when we look at year-over-year comparison. When we look year-over-year full comparison, we're still down 2% when compared to 2025 through June. Still tracking ahead of budget, so that's still positive. So I guess we'll just continue to monitor the progress of sales tax collections over the next 6 months, and we'll see if we can stay above our budget target and flip back into an actual positive range.
Is that giving you any type of heartburn yet?
Not yet, not
Okay.
yet. And based on our last finance committee conversation, we looked at using the 3 to 4 year average, which kind of pulls us down a little bit at sales tax. So I think we'll be right on track. I don't think we have a whole lot of significant wiggle room, but I don't think it's super concerning yet. I guess we'll see how July and August, September go. That's when I'll start to have a little heartburn and get a little concerned, especially if we were aggressively budgeting, which we weren't. So I didn't feel like we were. So I think we're in a nice soft range.
Yeah, and we dialed that back. I think we actually wanted to go a little more aggressive on that last year, but I think we did dial the revenue back a little. So good. I'm glad we did.
And when I talk to my peers, they're seeing worse performance than us. But remember, we're Kitsap County, and we've got the Navy and the government jobs, and we tend to have a little flatter economy. We don't have the highs that everybody else has, but we don't tend to have the lows. So, I mean, I'd love to see more, but I feel pretty good comparison to the stories I'm hearing from our peers.
Well, and it's nice to see that positive jump for June also, since we came out of a pretty flat or worse than flat May. So I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Now, REIT, on the other hand, continues to be negative when we look at year-over-year comparisons. I think this is one that I'm going to watch closely over the next 6 months if we're going to hit this fiscal year budget at 1.6 million. Luckily, we have some positive from 2025 that offsets it. So I think from a biennial perspective, we're fine, which is, again, a nice benefit of biennial as you're planning. But I'll be curious to see if how close we come for fiscal year 2026. So not much.
Any comments from anybody on that one?
No.
Okay. Go ahead, Noah.
Okay. So the only topic I have, and I know the mayor has a couple that he wants to kind of follow up on after this conversation. So Public Works is in the process of applying for a grant with TIB, a $3 million grant. As part of that grant application, they're asking the finance department to sign a commitment letter, sign and author a commitment letter, a funding commitment letter. So before I went forward with that, I was glad I had the opportunity to put this kind of funding plan in place to the finance committee, make sure you guys are supportive of what I'm proposing here before I sign the letter. So this is for Bethel, tip 1.8, 1.9, so the Salmonberry and Blueberry intersections. Again, right now we are in that design and right-of-way phase, working on acquiring right-of-way. I think Dennis has letters going out. I don't think we've had any come back yet, but we are in that phase of the project.
We will have 7 acquisitions that we'll bring before council first meeting of August.
Is acquisitions mean agreements?
Agreements are ready to be executed. So several offers have been out.
So this is Bethel Phase One. Nell is calling it our internal technical name, but it's Bethel Phase One.
So
And
Dennis,
so
we've got seven offers that sound like they've been accepted. How many do we still have out there?
I think we have about 33, 34 remaining, and we're targeting spring of 2028 to start construction.
All right, thank you.
So I kind of walk through this table so that you guys are comfortable with both the revenue side and the expenditure side of this project. So with recent updates, we think this is roughly about $15.3 million project. And again, that includes design phase and right-of-way phase. At this point, we've been in all design phase since 2022. As Dennis said, we expect to be right-of-way phase in 2027, completing all of right-of-way acquisitions by 2027, and then moving into construction in 28 and 2029. So any questions on the expenditure side right now? Again, these are just our actual expenditures from 22. 26 has a little bit of estimate for the remainder of the year, but and then I'm just using our construction cost plan as well as our right-of-way acquisition timing for 27, 28, 29. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I think we're pretty confident to know that those are today's construction costs. Are we going to add like 15% to that? I mean, it's not
Yeah,
going to. I mean,
yeah. So these
it's not
numbers do
stay in
include a
there.
10% contingency.
10%. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Is that
You
year
know,
after year?
you're
For 28?
you're chopping off the top of your chart. Can you slide it down just a little bit? There we go. Thank you.
Well, I was trying to avoid you looking up there. That's why.
Oh, you're trying. Okay, never mind. You're trying to hide those numbers right now,
Yeah,
not to jump
yeah.
ahead. I get
Just
it.
so you're
All right.
focused on the expenses. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay.
I mean, so that's the 10%. Is that 10% is 29, 10% more than 28?
Yeah, the 10% is really factored into this overall number here, this 10 million. And I just split it 50-50. Once we get construction, it's not going to be a 50-50
No, for sure.
construction spend sell. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, so I think what he's asking is, so 10% is contingency. Was inflation also included in this? Well, I think you should have contingency. You should probably at least aim for, if we know that it's
Mhm.
10 whatever million, at least a minimum of 2%
Yeah,
inflation between
Dennis, correct me as we're going through, we remember we were at a 30%, a 60%, a 90%, and we're nearing 100%. As we go through each phase, we get an update. Our engineering team gives us updated current numbers. So it's constantly evolving what the construction number is because it gets more refined. And as we acquire more real estate and we know the true costs, the construction number gets more refined. But yeah, you're right. I mean, we're 2 years out from today's number. Should we be adding an inflation factor to it? Yeah, I think that's the question.
Correct. That is the question.
That would be a question for the engineers, not for finance.
Uh,
Because I think a lot of times they give us a range, a low and a high. And so I'll have to look in back and see what they provided here. If this was 9%.
So you're
Estimate.
correct, Mayor, we'll have revised pricing. We'll probably get I don't think it's changed much since the 60%. It's going to change again when we get to the 100% because we're going to get into like roundabout designs and landscaping and the things that can take a lot of money. But yeah, we're playing with a 20% contingency on Oak Clifton because the price is varying so much because it's going to have some federal dollars on it. So it's changing. Tariffs are impacting everything. This shouldn't be affected too much by that. We're going to get all of our asphalt and concrete from the U.S. So
I don't think we should get too hung up on construction costs today.
I'm not. I just want to make sure
trying
that
to
that
demonstrate.
process is
Yeah.
set that we have in inflationary
Yeah.
impact included in our process. So yeah.
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 And Noah's just trying to demonstrate based on the information we have today, he's got a funding plan and here's
Okay.
what it is. But there's variables to that funding
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah. So that's kind of the expectation and the time and the cash flow timeline for the expenditure side. So next, I want to look at the revenues or the funding sources we're going to use to pay for this project. So back in 2023, the council adopted the 0.1% TBD sales tax. We have been collecting that revenue source since 23 and have been holding on to it, particularly for this project. That was what we discussed. And so we've been accumulating those dollars. In 2024, we collected 940,000, 25, 915. While we're not complete with 2026, I'm going to make the assumption that we're going to meet at least 2025. We're slightly down as we talked about in the sales tax. So I'm hopeful that 915 is a nice solid number. And then I'm just projecting out a flat sales tax revenue forecast. We have TIF, transportation impact fee revenue, also available for this project in phases. So we've been really relying upon that 23 through 2026. And then once we get into the right-of-way acquisition phase, we'll rely on a big piece of that. We had some developer funding, Oak Ridge. You'll see it's blacked out here because we received that money. We held it in our account and then we've spent it as we've gone through these construction design phase. We have some other developer agreements with HE and FAMI, but those are only for construction phase. So I got those booked out in 2028 once we begin construction. Lastly, this is the most important piece of this whole financial plan. So we are applying for this $3 million grant. I'm factoring into our financial plan so that I can look at all these sources and tell the state, yes, we are committed to the project and we are committed to the funding sources. Assuming we get the $3 million grant, I think we have a nice solid plan. We'll rely and exhaust the full TBD sales tax. We'll rely on TIF, and then we'll rely on our developer contracts to cover their portions. There's a small amount for water sewer improvements, but that'll be 2028. But again, 250,000, not a significant amount. Go ahead, Eric.
Who writes the grant?
The Public Works Department does.
Example for the parks, we're using somebody to do that. Do we use somebody for this as well?
No, Dennis writes the grants, and we're not using somebody to write our grant for the parks either. They're doing the study for us.
We
Staff.
did we
Go ahead.
did have some capacity for grants if we pursued some RCO, some of the bigger ticket ones. Some RCO grants, just to simplify, they're very simple. Some of them are extremely comprehensive, especially if we're going for $1 million, we'd have a little bit of assistance. RCO is probably one of the toughest grants. I did one last week and it took 2 hours. But
Yeah,
this one would be in staff.
I don't want to get off track. Just that the parks meeting that we attend, that there's a lady there who was saying that she was writing the $2 million grant opportunity for us. So I thought we were doing that, but
No,
all right,
we planned on it, but we didn't make it for this cycle.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
But those are the level of effort going into that grant is pretty tremendous.
Mark, do you have a question?
Yeah, so is this $3 million grant application, is this an all or nothing grant? Could we apply for 3 million and get 2,500,000 or 2 million?
I sat through the workshop. They had it at Gig Harbor for cities our size. All of our engineering staff and myself went. We have great success. I think, Mayor, this is what funded Tremont,
It was.
CIB.
It was.
They are probably one of the best agencies to work with as far as facilitating what the awards are. They
Yeah.
we're also going to be applying for a few other TIB grants. There's some for maintenance. There's some for sidewalk improvements. So we'll be pursuing those too. Much smaller though.
I think anything we get from them is free money. It's not a loan. And Noah's just going, we built this plan and this allows us, provided the the bids come in where we think they're going to, and we get this 3 million, we've got a funding plan. But if costs came in higher, and with this funding plan, we don't need to reauthorize the 10-year 1/10 of 1%. And if we don't get the full 3 million and construction costs come in higher, then we'll have to revisit that because we might have to issue a small amount of debt to cover the gap. And then we would reauthorize the same 1/10 that's already on the books just for a longer period of time so that we can cash flow, the project and the funding gap. Does that make sense?
You're
Yeah,
creating
and
an income source to pay back the loan.
Yeah, we need to have a source of repayment, which would be reauthorizing the 1/10 for a longer period of time. So we have a cash flow source. Correct.
yeah, I think the mayor did a really good recap of the overall situation that we're applying for a $3 million grant. If we get the grant, we have a nice solid funding plan in place. I have a couple of cash flow pinch points here in 2029 of 350,000, but I think we can solve that. Um, so I think I can sign the letter, say, yes, we are applying for the grant and we are committed to the project. We have the funding sources to pay for the project as we know today. Once we hear back from TIB, if we aren't awarded the grant, then we have a different conversation that we'll have to have as far as that will no longer be a funding source. And then I have a different funding need. And that's when we really can talk more about the TBD sales tax, bonding it, kind of what does the council want to do, reinitiating it. But at this point, the purpose of this was to bring you guys up to speed and get us comfortable that if we get the $3 million grant, we're in a really good spot. If we don't, then we have a $3 million funding gap that we need to evaluate how we're best going to solve that.
My gut tells me we'll get something. I just don't know that we're going to get 3 million. Because this project will score very well. They're the last dollars into a $15 million project.
So
That's cool.
they'll get
They have
a good
more
quick
positive
return.
outlook, Mayor, a more positive outlook.
Yeah.
They'll get a good quick return on their investment money. I think that scores well too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the term being shovel ready as we are, minus some right-of-way acquisitions that Dennis is going to come through for us in 2027. I think this is a good teed up project for TIB to score well.
Yeah.
So that was really the intent of this, was to kind of show that we do actually have a funding plan. Again, provided the construction bids come in and as anticipated, and TIB awards us the $3 million grant, we're in really good shape. But time will tell on those two variables. Is there
All right.
anything else that you guys want to talk about or had questions on this? And I just want to see if you guys are comfortable kind of committing to the project with TIB under kind of these assumptions.
Yeah,
I am.
I am.
Free money. Why
I'm
wouldn't
good.
we?
I didn't see the full end over there and make sure that gets us all the way to the finish line, or if we're going to have to throw in more dollars at the end. But I suppose
Yeah,
that also depends
yeah.
on actually what true construction comes to be.
Absolutely, 100%. And John, this is, I guess, the easiest place to look is in 2029. Here's where I can see that I have a shortfall. That's where my shortfall begins, but that's the conclusion of the project. However, our TBD sales tax is in effect through 2032. So we'll collect that money in 2030. I just need a short window to cover any of that end of year construction costs. And who knows, maybe this constructions will bleed over into 2030 and it's not a complete 50-50 split, right? So then it's managing the cash flow at that point. So that's where I say I think we're in really good shape because I have the future cash to come into the project. Rarely have we seen a project get done so quickly, but it's possible.
Okay.
And with my rose-colored glasses, if the stars all align in our plan, we've actually got 3 years of unobligated TBD sales tax money to start the next project on Bethel with. But those are rose-colored glasses.
Well, and I would say I'm hoping that we're planning and spending those dollars as we go too, because I'd like to kind of
Well, we won't have them until those future years. But
I understand that, but I'd like to have the planning done so that we can
yeah, we already have a federal award for the design for
design.
the Bethel Link or Bethel Lund roundabout, and so now here's our some of our construction dollars.
Yeah.
Just a second. Charlie's calling me back on something. I'm gonna.
So that's all I had for tonight's meeting. Pretty short, simple, but again, want to get you guys comfortable with me signing off on the letter and then allowing Public Works to go get us some money and moving forward with that project. Rob did have some other things he wanted to talk about. Emailed me about today. Let me see here if I can pull it up.
Hey, Dennis, you got your hand up?
Yeah, no, I was going to speak of the Vanzi Park if that's a good time for it.
Yeah, please jump in.
I know Rob's already heard about it. So I'm going to share my screen. I brought this up at land use because we got into a discussion about parks and playgrounds and playground equipment and parks amenity. No, I'm sending you a request.
Oh, sorry, Dennis. There you go.
All right. Am I sharing my screen here? Okay, here we go. Can everybody see Vanzi Park?
No.
No,
Hold
it's
on.
kind of
Hold
like
on. It's loaded.
It
there
There
you
you
go.
go.
There you go.
Okay. So I'm going to zoom in here. We had this old playground that has no swings on it, and I went back and I see that it had no swings since 2014. That's as far as I can go back. I'd requested $50,000 last year in the budget to spruce this playground up and try to find replacement parts. They cannot be sourced. The type of swing brackets, the tire swing, and this climber here, they're past their useful life. I can't put a new playground here without doing ADA improvements, and that's going to be I'm going to shoot out a $250,000 project to do a ADA accessible playground. So it's not feasible to do it this year. I have $50,000 and I have the need to clean up this under canopy of this area here. We've been getting some requests from disc golf and frisbee, people not able to access this area of the park. It invites unwanted activity. It's pretty dark. I'll try to zoom in here so you can kind of see what we're talking about. I would like to allocate that $50,000 to improve other facets of Van Park. And you can see these old shelters that are just so overgrown and how dark it is back here. This would make this area more usable. We could put some picnic tables in here. We raise the canopy, it becomes accessible where they're having conflicts with frisbee. I have a shelter here and a shelter down below that the roofs are also falling in. So we could do a lot of great stuff and make the park more usable if this committee was open to that. I did bring this up at land use as well. But we also have a lot of dead trees, so we'll do a full arborist report to make sure like this stuff like this just needs to go.
Is that the right amount of money? Can you get that all done?
I can get this all done with this.
internally?
Yes, I can. We can do lots of with that. Tree trimming is not too bad.
Okay.
So are you going to come back for a budgetary request next budget for replacing this playground?
I think that's something we need to have a kind of a robust conversation as we get into the parks plan, the pros plan conversation. We just don't want to go out and build it and not be in the right spot. At land use, it came up, they're talking about a pump track at Givens, it's a pump track. Councilmember Warden, you're on the committee on the parks, Givens
Nope.
Park Committee. So there could be an opportunity for a pump track here and more of a robust playground. They're only about six blocks apart. There's Givens, there's Van Z, so you're not. I mean, it's just the priority of what the community wants. But playgrounds aren't cheap. It's the cost of the playground equipment is the cheapest part. It's the fall protection, the perimeters that you have to do, and the ADA accessible, which could trickle all the way out to the parking lots.
So I think what the answer is we have to revisit it and come up with a plan Um, and Dennis is saying it's probably $250,000, and is that a good investment in this location? You know, we're probably to minimize those ADA improvements, you're probably moving it closer to the parking lot and the tennis courts. So we're not building a ADA sidewalk all the way across the park and through the field. Guess it could be done around the perimeter there, but we don't have sidewalks and ADA here either.
Not even
Well,
close.
I think doing so, you'll lose some of the functionality of the soccer and the baseball
Yeah.
field also.
Yeah. So this might not be the best location to have a play structure. And we have obviously haven't had a functional one for a number of years here.
Yeah. How come we haven't replaced it, anything since 2014?
It's been longer than that.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I think you're going back 20 plus years.
sure.
And I don't have a good answer. This shelter is real rough too. Um, I bet these swings here, those are
Yeah.
probably 1950s era, the kind of stuff we had in the playground when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
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 You
This
were a
is
little kid in the 1950s?
well, we had leftover stuff because we were invincible, so we could use 20-year-old, 30-year-old swing sets still.
The last significant dollars we put into this park was resurfacing the pickleball courts, and actually they're they're getting close. We're probably going to get another couple years out of them. They're starting to come up a little bit. I play on these courts. Um, they're showing their wear already.
We have a budget request coming for that. It'll
Okay.
probably be in the second part of the biennium.
I would just think with all the new park impact fees that we could do some good sized capital jobs, and
Well, right now we're using that for our
I,
source for the community center. But
yeah,
once the community center's done, you're right. We're collecting a lot of park impact fees, and we'll have a lot of money for the capital projects that will likely come from our updated parks plan.
But you can see this is a great vantage point of how dark, and you get people alcohol consumption, camping back there. I think there's some old I don't know the proper terminology where you throw your frisbee for disc golf, but there's I think a couple bases in here.
Yeah, it's a disc golf course.
Yeah. So this
oh,
will
nice.
bring in some light and more active use. It would be a good thing.
You guys kind of comfortable spending this money that way so we can deploy it?
Sounds like a smart thing to do to me.
Same park, same purpose to make it better.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well, I had three things, and Dennis just picked one of them off. So
Sorry, Mayor, you were on the phone.
no, well, and so the reason I was talking to Charlie is uh, Commissioner Walters shared with me today that the county intends to councilmatically put in place a public safety 1/10 of 1%. And we need to pay attention because there's two versions of that. One stacks, and the other version would take away our like the mental health tax. And I believe if that tax is going to be collected in Port Orchard, we want it for ourselves and not for Kitsap County to have it. So I'm just making you aware that hit my radar today, and I gotta talk to and when I ask Katie the details, she didn't know them. So I've got to find out which version they're doing, and if they're doing the version that's harmful to us, we've got to quickly do that ahead of them because once they take the action, we don't get ours back, and I don't believe we want that to happen. We would want, unlike we didn't have a human services department to deploy the mental health dollars. We have a police department. We can deploy $900,000 a year in our police department versus the county getting our $900,000. So that's one issue. I'll continue. I'll try to gather more information and figure out what version the county's doing. The other issue is an emergent real estate opportunity. And as I think you're aware, I finally got the lease signed back around on the paved lot. And in that email, the Heritage Bank's real estate person um, offered to sell it. He didn't give me a number. He said, "We're marketing this property for sale. Here's the appraised values." It's three parcels. They're only willing to sell the three parcels as a package. The round numbers, the paved lot is appraised at $1 million. Where the drive-through is 500,000 and the gravel lot is 250,000. And so, for a combined value of $1.8 million. I know, and I've been talking about this, and I'll let Noah talk about the finance aspect of it, but I'm of the opinion we need the parking. I think it would be good, from the community's aspect to keep, provide parking after hours and on weekends and provide parking for our staff and to we're assembling the real estate that we know we want for a parking structure on the one side of the street, and then we would have influence on what the project looks like as we market and sell the property across the street that we likely don't want to hold. But I'm thinking we wouldn't offer them the 1.8 at all. I'm thinking a number like 1.4 cash. And Noah, do you want to talk about how we could afford that?
Yeah, I think overall we can afford that because I'm deep in the budget right now. So I'm looking at our forecast for beginning fund balance and any fund balance. Again, I think we can use cash today. We can put a reimbursement resolution in place like we've done with other purchases, and then look at financing it later, or even wrapping it into our community event center debt when we go out for that borrowing. But we do have the cash in our fund balance. Again, it's a 1 what Rob say, $8 million reduction in fund balance, but we do have the cash available.
Do you have worries that the PFD is going to object if you lump that in with the event center since they're paying the debt service on it?
Yeah, no, I think we need to work with PFD because they are only going to commit to so much cash flow. And so anything above their payment commitment is now going to be the responsible of the general fund to make that additional payment up.
So it's our borrowing, but they're only going to be responsible for a portion of that.
Correct. That's right. I didn't know if that gave them heartburn, if we're intermixing all that, or if there's just a consideration that I think in making this decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could always do a separate borrowing. It just could be convenient and more cost effective to do it once.
Great. That's what I just thought I'd bring it up.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good point.
I guess what the mayor and I keep talking about is parking has always been an issue in the city. Here's an opportunity to get some good parking right across from City Hall and right on the waterfront where we are kind of pushing for other development and the community event center. So it's a prime location for our needs and the community needs. And I don't know when you have another opportunity to kind of acquire such a property.
And I'm gonna tag on because Mary, I don't think you've seen it today, but the parking lot looks amazing. Everything is pruned up and all the shrubs are sculpted. It's immaculate.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll look at it tonight when I come in.
I like the idea of being able to help guide who's going to purchase, develop that area right there. That's pretty impactful. And who's not going to be able to develop there as well. How long do you think that would take? Obviously, after we do all of our building first, I'd imagine. All of our
It would
construction first.
it would be beneficial to us to control the property across the street through our
Sure.
construction projects. But if we got a buyer, yeah, I know of a regional developer that's interested in it, but they're waiting to see how the Kashi building leases up. They don't want to buy this asset and sit on it. They're wanting, so I know there's interest in it. It's just, and I think that's who we would market this to, and they'd be a good partner. I'm just not at liberty right now to say who that is.
No, there's no need to. But also, I think during development of community center, kind of we discussed earlier, it would be good for lay down yard and help contain the on-site work on-site without spreading it all over too. So,
See, Mark's got his hand
Mark,
raised.
Mark's got his hand up. Okay. Thanks, Mark, for letting Mark talk. Um, I think it's a good idea. We need the parking downtown. We've needed it for years. Our merchants want that parking. We've got a plaza, Orchard Street Plaza, that we're planning to build, which is going to bring hopefully the farmers market and other events to that end of town. It, and that parking is going to be very, very handy to have at that point. Plus, as Eric mentioned, I agree. It gives us a little bit of control over who does what with that other piece. So I can get behind this as long as Noah's good with it and we can fund it. I can get behind this. They don't make any more property downtown.
What you got, Eric?
see, Mark, if I didn't speak out of turn, I would not have given you that little bit of information.
I don't think real estate's always a negotiation, but I don't want to make an offensive offer. You know, is 1.4 too low? If it's appraised, John's saying no. Okay.
So you said it appraised for 1.8.
1.8 179. So basically 1.8.
Well, I could get on board with 1.4. And if they bite on it right away, then we know it was too high of an offer. I mean, it's kind of the way that works, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got an appraisal that supports the higher number, but yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I do think it's helping them close up shop down here too.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not saying we're doing them a favor, but I think it's worth their while to not continue on trying to market it and sell it to. So
I was going to say virtually the same thing. And uh, as somebody who sits at this desk negotiating things like that regularly, you got to start somewhere because you hope to meet somewhere in the middle. If they jump, they jump. I think I like that number. I hope they accept that number. But I think that's a good place to start for sure.
Okay, so you guys are supportive of me working with Charlie's firm to do a purchase and sale. Anything that's comes of that has to be approved by the full council. This is just,
I was going to
any
say, I think
offer
we
is
should,
subject to city council approval.
I think you should bring that forth as at least a somewhat conversation this evening,
Okay,
and get a head nod,
okay. Okay,
just in case somebody else fundamentally has no interest in pursuing it at all.
okay. Well, I got three of you here and one more council member is all it takes to say, yeah,
That's
go
what I'm saying.
write the
Just
offer.
make sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, I'll bring it up tonight.
All right. Is there any other conversation that needs to be had tonight? If not, I think our next meeting, I believe, is September 15th. Is that an accurate statement?
Sounds right.
Third weekend of September, we take August off. And if that's the case, we will see everybody here in about an hour and a half.
what
And
if,
this-
sorry, Mark, what if this offer goes through? Would we need to get together and talk about it, or would it just go straight to full council? Sorry to interrupt you.
Well, if I bring it up tonight, then I don't need to have any type of an exec. I would think if they counter,
Yeah.
we're going to have an executive session with that counter.
Okay.
Next week, I would hope, I don't know that happen that fast. They've got to be mindful that, see, we got next week's meeting and then we've got 2 weeks after that, and then we're done till September. So I'll just have to communicate that, and if there's a counter, we're gonna definitely gonna have an executive session to talk, to talk about that counter, whether we're gonna accept it or not, and then it would have to be approved and purchase of ultimately has to be approved in open session, but we can negotiate real estate in an executive session. And so I'm thinking it's a cash offer as we discussed. It's got, I need to see the appraisals so that we can review those appraisals. I'm certain that the appraisals are on the up and up because they were done for the bank sale and probably a requirement of the FDIC. And so, but we'd want to see them. And then also environmental due diligence. I know that the gravel lot had contamination and it had those barrels, and the barrels have got to be gone, and they've got to give us the NFA letter, which is a no further action letter from ecology. So there's some steps to go through, even if the price is agreed to.
Thank you. Sorry, Mark. I wanted to make sure.
No worries. No worries. Thanks for getting that out. So if there is nothing else, let's go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll see everybody in about a little more than an hour.
Thank you.
Have a nice night, guys.
Thank you.